So what they actually found in this specific study is that 75% would actually go along and completely ignore reality, and slowly but surely you kind of lose who you are. We call ourselves influencers, but in fact, the audience was influencing me. What we share really does have an impact, and I think if we're just all more conscious about that we can really drive change.
Welcome to Life Unlocked with Jet, where we talk about how you can become a high-ticket freelancer, live the laptop lifestyle, all things digital marketing, and of course also all the failures and lessons that I've learned in my journey becoming a self-made millionaire. I hope you enjoy and follow our podcast.
My name is Jet, and I want to talk to you guys today about social conformism, especially around social media. And now, the next slide I'm going to show you guys, I'm actually going to ask you to raise your hand. We're going to do it quick because I don't have much time. So there's going to be a line on the left side of the screen, and then there's going to be 3 lines on the right, and it has A, B, C. And I want you to quickly decide which line of the right side is the same size as the left. Can we do that? Okay, cool. So, take a second. No? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so which line? Target line, right? A, B, or C? So, show hands for A. Okay, show hands for B. Show hands for C. Cool. Nice. Okay, sweet. Okay, now, imagine this. Imagine that I would have spoken to everyone besides yourself before this talk. And I would have said, Andrew, please vote for A. I don't care if it's wrong, just vote for A, okay? And you wouldn't know about this. So when I ask the question, everybody's hands go up. You're like, right? Now you might start to change your initial response to this. And you might start to also vote for A because the rest of the people are all saying it's A. You're like, am I crazy? Like, am I not seeing it right? And that is what usually conformism is about. Right. Okay. So there was this experiment, actually this research study from in the 1950s, and he actually did this. So he took many different groups and he told everyone, so right, all the stages, right, all the people in the experiment to initially vote for the wrong answer. And there was one innocent participant, so you could mention that if it was yourself, that had no clue about this. So what they actually found in this specific study is that 75% would actually go along and completely ignore reality, right? Because it was a little bit obvious. Or maybe tired, but the answer was a bit obvious, right? But 75% would still actually vote for the wrong answer because the rest of the people were voting for the wrong answer. Now, I could have also given you guys a little bit more of a trickier one, and maybe it would have taken you a few more minutes to think about it and to form your opinion. But even in that case, you probably still look around, especially if you have to make the decision fast. And even more so if there could be maybe a reward for the right answer, Now, there's something actually really funny because I asked my team to prepare a graphic about cavemen. They made it about, crocodiles instead. So I'm not going to show that. I'm going to try to visualize for you guys. So actually, conformism comes from very long time ago, right? It is really very much in our nature as human beings. So imagine that on the left side, you have a cave and 10 of your cave buddies are going in, and they're coming out with a smile and food. And now there's a cave on the right side. And John, he went in, or, we probably didn't name each other back then, but let's call him John. He went in and he didn't come back. And later on, Hendrik, he also went in and he came back with 1 arm. So which cave do you think you're going to go for at that point, Like, you're going to try to go for the one with the most survivability, right? So when I actually prepared this and thought about it, I was like, no, probably everyone on this boat will still go for a KDB and be like, let me find out what happens when I go there, you know? Because most of you guys are entrepreneurs, business owners, and we're in Antarctica at the end of the day. So, but that does show, you know, back in the day, it's really coming from that place of surviving, and it's really ingrained into who we are. However, I do think we can train ourselves and actually learn to, you know, develop a sense of self and to really step back and make our own choices and decisions without always looking at other people. And that's initially what, you know, many entrepreneurs do. They go against the grain, right? Cool. Okay. So yeah, this actually came from a study, but I'm sure you guys learned that. Cool. Okay. Now, this is a picture, and I think maybe the photographers here are like, oh, this is not even that nice. But this was my first travel picture in 2017 when I moved to Bali for 3 months. And, you know, I loved the landscapes there. I loved the culture, the travel, and everything that I was seeing. And I posted this picture. And slowly but surely, I started to get likes and followers and attention. And I was like, wait a minute, what is this, you know? Why are these people liking my photo on my personal page? Now, I started to learn at that point about what the influencer industry was, and that you could travel the world, live where you want to live, you know, and then people could pay you to do this. So the more I started to get into this industry, the more I learned about all the dirt and everything that goes behind it. But something really strange happened to me that I later was able to reflect on. Now, sometimes I was posting these landscape pictures, and at other moments, I would post a picture with myself in it, you know, selfie or something. And I would start to notice that the picture of the landscape always got way less likes than the one that I was in. So slowly but surely, I started to obviously reprogram my subconscious to stop posting the landscape pictures and to start going for the pictures that I'm in. Why? Because in the influencer industry, the currency is not money, but the currency is attention. Because the more attention you get, the more brands want to work with you, and the more money you get. So the first and foremost thing you're focused on is always going to be attention. Now, this develops further and further and further and further. And every time you post content, you start to quantify it against your other content. And slowly but surely, you kind of lose who you are, right? Because you start posting what your audience wants instead of why I initially started this, right? So that to say that, you know, there's a reason that this happens, you know, to us as humans and to animals as well. So this was a study, and I learned about this when I did a panel discussion with Vasily Kucherev. He's a Russian neuroscientist, and I love his work. And this is a study where a rat was basically put in, well, a cage, and there was a button. And if he pressed this button, it would stimulate his pleasure center in the brain, right? Where we get dopamine release. So we get the feel-good hormone. And it was found that once he learned that if he pressed that button and it would release dopamine and it would make him feel good, he would not eat anymore, he would not sleep anymore, he would not drink anymore, and he would just die pressing that button, right? That is initially what happens to us. Social media, therefore, is, you know, and it really has some dangerous effects. So that's what happened to me. And at some point I just woke up and I was like, who is Jet? What do I actually like? Why did I start this in the first place? You know? So then how do you go from posting travel pictures to, you know, always posting yourself and taking it further and further and further and further, right? Now, I realized this and I completely stopped social media in that specific way. And I really changed the way that I perceive content and that I talk about content. But I think there's a really good lesson here for us. So what influence are we making, you know? Because we call ourselves business owners, you know, you guys entrepreneurs. There's quite a few people here that have a lot of followers. We call ourselves influencers. But in fact, the audience was influencing me. Because in some way, they made me change what I liked to post, right? And if you're not conscious about this, it can go really in a way where you just lose yourself and you stop posting what you actually, liked and initially want to do. Okay. Now, social media. We spoke about conformism before, right? A little bit. I just explained the concept. So conformity, maybe right now it was in this room, right? This sample of people right here. Back in the day or whatever, maybe it was your work, maybe it was your town, it was in the physical place where you are. But right now with social media, conformity is translating into the online world, which means that we are being influenced by the opinions of others. And it's not just people that we can see, it's people from all over the world 24/7, right? So now we have something that, I call then social media conformity, where what other people are posting and what gets the most attention is now perceived as correct. It's perceived as true. It's perceived as something we should copy or something we should actually follow or, comply with. And that's a very slippery slope, right? So how can we use that and actually do something good with it, right? So virality. That's the concept I'm talking about when, you post something, it goes viral, which means that so many people are going to see it. They're all going to form opinions about it. But at the end of the day, if something gets millions and millions of likes, people don't really fact check anymore. They just perceive that, okay, so everyone is liking and engaging with this, so I should just take it as correct, right? And what that leads to is obviously things like, and so much more about misinformation, wrong expectation setting, and many undesirable situations that we find ourselves into. So, funny example. It's actually from someone, I don't know if he is here, but I used the conversation we had today. So I live in Bali and I really love Bali. It's very special to me. There was this news article, which basically everyone was spreading, especially the Australian and the New Zealand media about Bali. And it popped up everywhere. And I got calls and texts from everyone everywhere. And they were like, Jed, is this true? So basically what it was stating is that, couples cannot live together anymore in one room or one house unless they're married. And what would that mean to tourism? Can you imagine what everyone was thinking? I'm not coming to Bali, it's horrible, blah, blah, blah. And it just obviously, it instilled a lot of fear, Even I believed it in the beginning. I was like, that's interesting. I don't know how they're going to actually fact check this stuff, because there's a lot of partying in Bali, things like that. But, and eventually obviously we found out it was not true. But this is what happens, things get really spreaded and twisted the wrong way, and it can literally have really damageable effects for, tourism in Bali or for people's perceptions about something. Then there was another one. This is Kuta in Bali. I live 7 minutes from this beach. Beautiful, Now, imagine you see this picture I posted. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go to Bali. Now, accidentally you come in the rain season and, the current took it a certain way that all the trash washed up the beach. Okay, now, you're a new person, you don't know about Bali, you visit right now. What are you gonna do? You're gonna make videos, probably. You're gonna say, Bali, shit, and you shouldn't go here, there's trash. Horrible, blah, blah, blah. Now all the people that see your video are like, oh my God, yes, I will never go there. Horrible place, right? Do you see what happens, when we sometimes set the wrong expectations online, right? I'm not saying that you should post this picture. I understand that it's not really nice to look at, right? But what I'm trying to say is, how much better would it be if we document over create? So instead of always putting filters on everything or always putting the picture perfect scenario out there, what if we also share value, So when I do speak about Bali, I do talk about the trash problem. And I do talk about what we can do, and I make stories about it. And there's, like Andrew said, there's super fun beach cleanup parties. Imagine if that same tourist saw my post and said whoa, beautiful, but also read my blog where I talk about, some of the problems we have, but that they're super fun beach cleanups. Maybe they will come especially for that fun beach cleanup now, and they will have a totally different experience and they will share a totally different story. So do you see that what we share really does have an impact? And I think if we're just all more conscious about that we can really drive change. And I think you could also post it if you want to, but it's not very pretty. Okay, so document of create. That's really my mantra. Yes, we can make pretty pictures and pretty stuff, and that's also part of it. But it's so important to realize who is going to see your content, and how it's going to impact them. And especially, I won't talk too much about that because I am not a neuroscientist. But, for the younger people, how young are people on Instagram now? Like 8 years old or younger. And they do miss some brain development where they can see risk tolerance and relevance and things like that. So if you really think about that, we should all protect them, and be more conscious about what we share and how that's going to be perceived. So now we're here. And it's a beautiful destination, and I'm super happy to live this experience with all of you guys. And especially, I think, when Jonathan spoke about, let's say there's a penguin and he hops over and he stands on your feet, what's that gonna do if you share it like that without any context, right? So I do think that's something that we can, keep ourselves accountable to be conscious about how we share this trip. What we're going to say. And even if you want to take that further, you can share something for good, right? But what, you guys said in the previous talk, we need to make it easy and fast for you guys. Otherwise, you're not going to do it, They're going to be inspired by this talk and they're going to be like, okay, but what should I post then? There will be so many questions, So I actually spoke to many of the guides on this ship and I asked them questions and I said, what do you want to see out there? Like, what's going to actually help you guys? What are the organizations? What petitions are out there? What charities? And I'm not saying that your page has to become some environmental activist page. That's not it. But when you post your selfie with the penguin, it would be nice if you can also give some information about why we were here, And if we just make that super easy for you guys, it's literally, copy paste. You can share that there's initiatives and places to support Antarctica, and maybe a little disclaimer that tourists shouldn't expect that they will get a seal seduction scene on their boat, that's like an unusual activity. Not that we set the expectation that everyone who comes here is gonna expect that performance, so right. Okay, so basically we can make it fun, but we can definitely add some, disclaimers, information, however you want to share to help. And then we can really collectively drive change. So here's a few things. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all of these in a document and then we could add them to the manifesto, right? Or I will even share them in WhatsApp. And it's as easy for you to copy a disclaimer that says, by the way, we followed the guidelines from these organizations, and here's how you can help. And I also had a really fun time. I got drunk, danced on the table, but, for Antarctica, this is what we can do, or this is what we can share, right? And here are some great ones that they mentioned briefly. So there's an Antarctic ambassador program. How freaking cool is it if you can say that you're an ambassador from Antarctica, right? I mean, that's something super cool. And I think something we should share. Then there's also the Penguin Watch, the ACAP, and also ORCA, which Aboliss is actually partnered with. And they really do great things, and they actually help. And I think that's sometimes the thing, with so much information, we talk a lot about there is a problem, what are the problems, and then people can feel like, but what can I do? And I feel like this is such maybe a small thing, but if we all keep each other accountable to be good advocates of this trip, then I do really think that we can all drive change. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys.